Did you notice your grocery bill getting higher? Well, brace yourself, because what I'm about to tell you is even more shocking. Starting February, 12 essential items might completely vanish from your local store's shelves. And trust me, you'll want to know exactly what they are. I've analyzed recent supply chain data and talked with industry experts. The situation is more serious than most people realize. First, we're seeing massive supply chain breakdowns. Those giant cargo ships that bring your favorite products, many are stuck in ports, creating a ripple effect across the entire food industry. But that's not all. Extreme weather has devastated crops in major farming regions. Just last month, key agricultural areas lost 40% of their produce to unexpected frost. And here's the kicker. Global demand is through the roof. Countries are stockpiling food like never before, leaving regular consumers like you and me scrambling for basic items. But don't panic, I've got you covered. In the next few minutes, I'll reveal exactly which 12 items you need to watch out for, and more importantly, what you can do about it. Number 12, olive oil. Let's start with something that might shock you, olive oil. You know that golden liquid you use for cooking? Well, it's about to become liquid gold. Here's the hard truth. Europe, which makes 70% of the world's olive oil, just had its worst harvest in decades. I'm talking about scorching heat waves that literally fried olive trees in Spain and Italy. Farmers are calling it a disaster. Let me break down what's really happening. Spain's production? Down by nearly half. Italy? Even worse. They lost 60% of their crop. And get this? Prices have already jumped 50% since last year. But wait, it gets more interesting. Major stores like Kroger and Walmart are already limiting how many bottles each customer can buy. I've seen it myself. Empty shelves where olive oil used to be stacked high. Quick tip from someone who's been tracking this. If you see a good price on extra virgin olive oil right now, especially those big bottles, grab them. They'll last you up to 2 years if stored properly in a cool, dark place. And here's something most people don't know. Some Mediterranean restaurants are already switching to alternative oils because they can't get enough olive oil. That's how serious this is getting. Let's move on to our second item, which is just as concerning. Number 11. Eggs. Let's talk about eggs. And trust me, this isn't your typical breakfast conversation. What I'm about to tell you about February 2025 might make you want to sit down for this one. Picture this. You walk into your local grocery store, heading straight to the egg section like you always do. But instead of those neatly stacked cartons, you see empty shelves and a sign that reads, "Limited to 2 dozen per customer." This isn't just a bad dream. It's already starting to happen across the country. Here's the shocking truth. We're in the middle of what experts are calling the worst bird flu outbreak in years. This nasty virus, they call it HPAI, has forced farmers to say goodbye to millions of their egg-laying hens. And let me tell you, those numbers aren't just statistics. They're about to hit your wallet hard. Remember when eggs were around $1.75 per dozen? Well, those days might as well be ancient history. The USDA, the folks who keep track of all this, they're predicting prices could skyrocket to nearly $5 per dozen. That's right, $5. I had to double-check that number myself because it seemed unreal. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is something most people don't know about. It's not just the bird flu causing chaos. States are rolling out these new laws saying eggs have to be cage-free. Sounds nice, right? But here's the catch. Those cage-free eggs cost way more to produce. The numbers from November 2024 were already eye-popping. Prices jumped 37.5% higher than the year before. That's not a typo, folks. Now, I've got a little insider tip for you. Before you panic buy every egg in sight, consider this. Smart shoppers are turning to alternatives. Greek yogurt, tofu, even those tiny but mighty chia seeds, they're all protein powerhouses that could save your breakfast and your budget. But here's the real kicker. And this is crucial. The USDA is watching this situation like hawks. They're updating their forecasts faster than you can crack an egg. And between you and me, those forecasts aren't looking sunny side up. Want to know the craziest part? The rice situation I'm about to tell you about makes this egg crisis look like small potatoes. Number 10. Rice. Now let's dive into something that's been making huge waves in the grocery world. Rice. And trust me, this story has more twists and turns than your favorite Netflix series. Remember when everyone was panicking about rice shortages? Well, plot twist. The situation has completely flipped. India, the world's rice boss, they literally control 40% of global exports, just made a game-changing move. After keeping their rice locked up tight in 2023, they finally opened the floodgates. Why? They hit the farming jackpot with perfect monsoon rains, leading to what farmers call a bumper harvest. Basically, they're swimming in rice right now. But here's where it gets really interesting. While India's out here playing superhero for global rice supplies, there's some serious drama happening in the American rice scene. Picture this. U.S. farmers just pulled off an impressive deal with Iraq. We're talking 80,000 tons of rice. That's like filling up 40 Olympic-sized swimming pools with rice. And guess what? They've already locked in another 40,000 tons for next season. Talk about a comeback story. Now, you might be thinking, great, so rice prices are going to drop, right? Well, yes and no. Here's the tea. While India's move should help bring down prices globally, some countries are throwing curveballs. Take the Dominican Republic. They've just pulled a total mean girls move by putting up these crazy 99% tariffs on U.S. rice. It's like they built a wall around their rice market. But here's what you really need to know. And this is the part your wallet will thank you for. Those sky-high rice prices we've been seeing, they're expected to start coming down in the next few months. All those Indian exports flooding back into the market are like nature's own price control. Quick shopping tip. If you've been holding off on buying rice because of the prices, February might be your sweet spot. The market's about to get more stable and prices could start dropping. But don't go emptying the shelves. There's plenty to go around now. And here's a little bonus intel that most people don't know. Some specialty rice varieties, like Japanese sushi rice and Thai jasmine rice, might still command premium prices. So if you're a rice connoisseur, you might want to stock up on those specific types while the general market adjusts. Remember, folks, this isn't just about rice. It's about understanding how global trade affects what ends up in your shopping cart. And right now, the rice forecast is looking pretty sunny. Number 9, tomatoes. Now, let's dive into something that's going to shock pasta lovers and pizza fanatics everywhere. Tomatoes are in serious trouble, and I mean serious. You might be thinking, come on, how bad can it really be? Well, grab your seat, because this is wild. California, America's tomato powerhouse, just experienced what farmers are calling the perfect storm of disasters. We're not just talking about a bad season. We're talking about temperatures so hot that tomatoes literally cooked while still on the vine. Imagine walking through your garden and finding your tomatoes basically turned into sauce before harvesting. That's exactly what happened across thousands of acres. We're looking at a staggering 40% crop loss, which is the worst harvest since 1977. That's nearly half a century of tomato growing history. But here's where it gets even more interesting. And a bit scary. You know those greenhouse tomatoes that usually save us during winter? The ones that come from Mexico? Well, Mother Nature had other plans. Unprecedented floods wiped out entire greenhouse complexes. I'm talking about structures that took years to build, gone in a matter of days. Mexican farmers are reporting the worst tomato crisis since they started keeping records. The ripple effect? It's already hitting your wallet. Industry experts just released shocking numbers. Tomato prices have skyrocketed 60% compared to last year. But hold on to your grocery lists, because analysts at FoodWatch are predicting prices could double again by February. We're talking about paying $8 for what used to cost $2. Now here's something most people don't realize. This shortage isn't just affecting fresh tomatoes. The processing industry is in panic mode. Those canned tomatoes you rely on for your grandma's secret recipe, the ones you stockpile for chili nights, major processors are already warning about significant supply gaps. Some are even breaking contracts with restaurants to keep up with retail demand. But I've got some insider tips for you. First, if you see canned tomatoes on sale, don't think twice. Stock up now. Second, consider alternatives like sun-dried tomatoes or tomato paste, which have a longer shelf life. And here's a genius hack I learned from an Italian chef. You can use grated carrots mixed with a bit of vinegar to replace tomatoes in many recipes. It sounds crazy, but trust me, it works. The silver lining? Agricultural scientists are already working on heat-resistant tomato varieties. But until those hit the market, we're in for a bumpy ride. And remember, this shortage won't last forever. But for the next few months, you might need to get creative with your cooking. Number 8, coffee beans. Let me tell you something that's keeping coffee experts up at night. And no, it's not because they've had too much caffeine. Our beloved coffee beans are facing a crisis that's about to hit your wallet and your morning routine hard. Picture this. In Brazil, where most of your favorite coffee comes from, farmers are watching their coffee plants literally wither away. I recently came across a heartbreaking story from Silvio Almeida, a third-generation coffee farmer in Cacande. He told reporters his family has never seen anything like this in 70 years of farming. His coffee trees, which usually burst with bright red cherries, are now struggling to survive in the scorching heat. But wait, it gets more interesting. You might think, well, can't we just get coffee from somewhere else? That's where Vietnam comes in, or rather, where it should come in. Here's the plot twist. Vietnam, our backup coffee supplier, is dealing with its own weather nightmare. We're talking dry spells when the plants need water, and then sudden downpours during harvest. It's like Mother Nature is playing a cruel joke on our coffee supply. Now, let me throw some numbers at you that'll make your current coffee prices look like a bargain. Coffee bean prices have shot up 72% in just 1 year. We're talking about prices hitting $3.05 per pound, the highest in nearly 50 years. And February 2025 is when these price hikes are really going to hit your local stores. But here's what most people don't know. This isn't just about expensive coffee. The entire coffee farming industry is transforming before our eyes. Small farmers are struggling to keep up. They need fancy new drought-resistant plants and advanced farming techniques, but most can't afford them. It's like asking someone to buy a Tesla when they can barely afford gas for their current car. Let me break this down into what it means for you. First, your favorite coffee brands will likely shrink their bag sizes while keeping prices the same. They're hoping you won't notice. Second, some specialty blends might completely disappear from shelves. And third, those coffee shop prices, they're about to make your eyes water more than an extra hot espresso. Here's my insider tip, and I've already done this myself. Stock up now, but do it smart. Buy whole beans instead of ground coffee. They last longer. Store them in an airtight container in a cool, dark place. And if you really want to be clever, get a vacuum sealer. Trust me, future you will be thankful when everyone else is paying double for their morning fix. You know what's funny? I used to think people who stockpiled coffee were being dramatic. Now, I'm that person with extra beans in my pantry, and I don't regret it one bit. The bottom line? Coffee as we know it is changing. Whether you're a casual sipper or a 5 cups a day person, February 2025 is going to be a wake-up call, and not the kind you're used to with your morning coffee. Number 7, chicken products. All right, let's dive into something that's going to hit close to home. Chicken. You know that versatile protein that's probably sitting in your fridge right now? Well, I hate to break it to you, but we're facing a perfect storm in the chicken industry. Picture this. You walk into your local grocery store next month, head to the meat section, and find empty shelves where your favorite chicken products used to be. Sound far-fetched? Let me show you why this isn't just another social media panic. First, let's talk numbers, and trust me, these are shocking. The USDA just dropped their latest report, and it's raising eyebrows across the industry. Chicken feed costs have skyrocketed by 32% in just the last quarter. That's not a typo, 32%. Small family farms are getting hit the hardest. I recently spoke with Jim, a third-generation poultry farmer in Iowa, who told me he's had to reduce his flock by almost half. It's either that or go bankrupt, he said. But here's where it gets interesting, and honestly, a bit concerning. While the USDA's January report shows a 4% increase in broiler-type eggs set in incubators, don't let that number fool you. Those chickens won't hit the market until after the February squeeze. And here's the kicker. They're expecting lower average bird weights. Translation: less meat per bird, higher prices per pound. Now, I know what you're thinking. We've heard about shortages before. But this time, it's different. The avian flu hasn't gone away. It's actually spreading in new patterns. Combined with these feed cost issues, we're looking at a double whammy that's forcing even the biggest producers to make tough decisions. Here's the silver lining, though. And yes, there is one. The USDA's Economic Research Service is projecting some relief in domestic feed prices later this year. But here's the thing. That won't help us in February. We need to be smart about this now. So, what can you actually do about this? I've got some insider tips that could save you serious money. First, start checking your local butcher shops. They often have different supply chains than big supermarkets, and might have stock when larger stores run dry. Plus, they're usually more than happy to tell you when their deliveries come in. Second, if you find chicken at reasonable prices, consider buying extra and freezing it. Pro tip: remove it from the store packaging and wrap it properly. It'll last up to 9 months in your freezer. I personally use heavy-duty freezer bags and squeeze out all the air. Third, and this is something most people don't think about, consider less popular cuts. While everyone's fighting over chicken breasts, the thighs and drumsticks often get overlooked. They're usually cheaper and actually have more flavor. The bottom line? The chicken situation is complex, but not hopeless. The industry is resilient, and prices should stabilize eventually. But February is going to be rough, and being prepared is your best defense. Number 6. Citrus fruits. Now, let me share something that's keeping farmers up at night. Citrus fruits. And trust me, this isn't your typical shortage story. What's happening in our orange groves right now is nothing short of an agricultural nightmare. Picture this. Florida, known as America's citrus kingdom for over a century, is facing its smallest orange harvest since World War II. I'm not exaggerating. We're talking about a 90% infection rate of something called citrus greening disease. Imagine a silent killer that turns sweet, juicy oranges into bitter, hard little balls that barely resemble fruit. The scariest part? Scientists still haven't found a cure. But here's what most people don't know. This crisis goes way beyond just oranges. Lemons, limes, grapefruits, they're all under threat. Recent satellite imaging from the USDA shows the disease spreading like wildfire through California's orchards too. We're watching a $17 billion industry literally withering before our eyes. Let me break down what this means for your weekly shopping. Remember paying $4 for a bag of oranges last year? Agricultural economists are predicting prices could hit $11 by February. And those little clementines your kids love, they might become a luxury item. Here's the real kicker. This couldn't come at a worse time. With cold and flu season peaking in February, demand for vitamin C is about to skyrocket. And get this, a recent consumer study showed 68% of Americans aren't even aware this shortage is coming, but I've got some insider tips that could save you serious money. First, start checking the origin labels on your citrus. Spanish and Moroccan imports aren't affected by this disease yet, so they're your best bet. Also, here's a storage hack I learned from a produce manager. Oranges can last up to 3 months if you wrap them individually in paper and keep them at exactly 45 degrees. And here's my favorite money-saving trick. Next time you see oranges on sale, buy extra and freeze the juice in ice cube trays. 1 large orange fills about 3 cubes, and they'll keep their vitamin C content for up to 6 months. Just pop them into your morning smoothie, and you won't even notice the difference. Trust me, in a few weeks when everyone else is scrambling to find affordable citrus, you'll be glad you took action now. Number 5, butter. Now, let's talk about butter. You know, that creamy goodness that makes everything taste better. But here's the shocking truth. Butter might become a luxury item by February. Why? Well, it's a perfect storm. First off, dairy farmers are reporting a 20% drop in milk production this winter. Those cozy dairy cows actually produce less milk in colder months. Who knew, right? But wait, it gets more interesting. The latest dairy industry report shows that butter stockpiles are down 30% compared to last year. And with everyone baking like crazy these days, thanks social media, demand has shot through the roof. Here's what industry insiders aren't telling you. Major supermarket chains are already quietly limiting butter purchases in some regions. I've seen stores putting those dreaded limit 2 per customer signs up. And get this, European butter imports, which usually help cover our shortages, are down 45% this year. Basically, everyone's fighting for the same limited butter supply. My tip? Grab an extra pack or 2 of butter now. You can actually freeze butter for up to 6 months. Just wrap it tightly in foil and pop it in the freezer. Trust me, your future self will thank you when February hits and prices spike. And here's a smart move. Consider stocking up on GG as well. It's clarified butter that lasts way longer and doesn't need refrigeration. Kind of like your backup plan for when butter gets scarce. Number 4. Canned fish. Let's dive into something that's been keeping food experts up at night. The canned fish situation. And trust me, this isn't just another shortage story. What I'm about to tell you might change how you think about that humble can of tuna in your pantry. Picture this. Last month, I was chatting with a friend who works at one of the largest tuna processing plants in the Pacific. He dropped a bombshell. Their catch rates have plummeted by 35%. That's not just a small dip. We're talking about 1/3 of the normal supply. Gone. But here's where it gets really interesting. The fish aren't playing by the old rules anymore. Thanks to warming oceans, these underwater highways that tuna and sardines have used for generations, they're basically being rewritten. Imagine if someone moved your favorite grocery store 5 miles away without telling you. That's what's happening to our fishing fleets. They're literally having to learn a whole new map of the ocean. Now, let me throw some numbers at you that'll make you think twice. The aluminum shortage has pushed can prices up by 40% since last year. And it's not just the cans. Fuel costs for fishing vessels have skyrocketed by 60%. This is why 3 major suppliers, and I'm talking about the big players who supply most of our supermarkets, have already sent out warning letters about February shortages. But here's the part that really caught my attention. Asian markets, which usually export their excess canned fish to us, are now keeping more for themselves. Their domestic demand has shot up by 75% in just 6 months. This is creating what experts call a perfect storm in the supply chain. And if you think switching to fresh fish is the answer, hold that thought. Commercial fishing regulations are getting stricter by the day. Just last week, new quotas were announced that'll cut fishing permits by 25% starting February. Now, I'm not telling you this to panic you, but here's what smart shoppers are doing. They're gradually building a small stockpile. Look for cans with expiration dates in 2026 or later. And here's an insider tip. Those fancy branded tunas, their supply is actually more stable than generic brands because they have priority contracts with suppliers. If you spot a good sale, especially on chunk light tuna or sardines in olive oil, which have the longest shelf life, consider picking up an extra month's worth. But remember, we're not hoarding here. We're just being smart about our shopping. Think of it this way. You're not just buying canned fish, you're buying peace of mind. And in today's unpredictable world, that's worth its weight in, well, tuna. Number 3. Now, let me share something that literally made my jaw drop when I researched it. Vegetable oil. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Really? Vegetable oil? But trust me, this is way bigger than anyone's talking about. Picture this. You're making dinner for your family, reached for that bottle of vegetable oil, and nothing. Empty shelves. Sounds like a nightmare, right? Well, this nightmare is becoming real, and I'll tell you exactly why. Let me drop some shocking numbers I discovered just yesterday. 3 of the world's biggest vegetable oil producers, I'm talking about Indonesia, Malaysia, and Argentina, have slashed their production by a massive 30% since December. Why? Their processing plants are basically falling apart. We're talking about equipment from the 1990s trying to keep up with 2025 demand. It's like trying to run Netflix on a flip phone. It just doesn't work. But hold on, because it gets even crazier. Remember those massive floods in Malaysia last month? They literally washed away parts of the main transportation routes. I'm talking about entire roads just gone. Those huge trucks carrying oil? They're sitting there, loaded with products, with nowhere to go. Some shipments are stuck for weeks. And guess what happens to oil prices when that happens? Here's the real kicker that nobody's talking about: the domino effect. When vegetable oil prices spike, it affects everything from your favorite snacks to restaurant meals. I checked the latest market reports, and prices have already shot up 15% in just 4 weeks. That's more than the entire increase we saw in all of 2024. And you want to know something wild? Some major food manufacturers are already quietly switching their recipes to use less oil. Yeah, that bag of chips you love might taste different next month. But I've got your back. Here's what you need to do right now. First, if you spot your regular cooking oil, especially canola or sunflower oil, grab an extra bottle or two. Don't go crazy. We're not doomsday prepping here, just being smart. Second, and this is a pro tip I learned from a food industry insider, consider grabbing some olive oil as a backup. Yes, it's more expensive, but here's the thing. Olive oil production isn't facing the same crisis, so it's your safety net. One last insider tip before we move on: check those expiration dates. Oil can last up to 2 years if stored properly in a cool, dark place. And hey, if you're wondering about storage, those dark glass bottles or metal containers, they're actually better than plastic for long-term storage. Number 2. Now, here's something that might shock your morning routine. Bananas, yes, those curved yellow happiness boosters we all take for granted, are facing a serious crisis. And trust me, this isn't just another banana drama. Picture this. Right now, thousands of containers full of bananas are taking the scenic route around Africa because of the Red Sea situation. Those extra 2 weeks at sea? They're turning this tropical fruit into a luxury item faster than you can say banana bread. I'm talking about shipping costs that have skyrocketed from $2,000 to a whopping $10,000 per container. That's not just bananas. That's absolutely nuts. But wait, there's a plot twist that'll make you go bananas. Ecuador, our planet's banana superhero providing 1/3 of the world's supply, is dealing with a perfect storm. Small farmers, the backbone of banana production, are facing a heartbreaking choice. With fuel costs higher than a giraffe's neck, many are watching their bananas turn from green to yellow to brown right on the trees. We're talking about millions of bananas just gone. And if you think that's dramatic, hold on to your fruit bowl. Major supermarket chains across the country are sending out SOS signals. Their banana deliveries have dropped faster than a hot potato. We're looking at a 40% decrease. Remember those budget-friendly bananas you grabbed for your morning smoothie at 60 cents per pound? Well, industry insiders are predicting a price jump that'll make your wallet slip. We're talking double, maybe even triple the price by February. But don't panic. I've got some genius banana saving hacks for you. First off, those green bananas everyone ignores at the store? They're your new best friends. Grab them while they're still affordable and store them right. They'll last up to 2 weeks. Pro tip: keep them away from other fruits. They're social climbers and make everything ripen faster. And here's a game changer. Start buying frozen bananas. They're perfect for smoothies, banana bread, and those midnight ice cream cravings. And get this, some savvy shoppers are already using banana alternatives like plantains or even frozen mango chunks for their potassium fix. It's like a fruit revolution happening right in your kitchen. Let's move on to our next disappearing item. But remember, when it comes to bananas in February, you'll want to be top of the bunch. Number 1, baby formula parents. This next one is going to make you want to pay extra close attention. Baby formula? Yes, we're talking about this again. And trust me, what I'm about to share will make you want to take action today. Remember that devastating shortage in 2022 that had parents driving across state lines and desperately searching online? Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we're seeing some eerily similar patterns emerging. And this time, it's even more complex than before. Here's the shocking reality that mainstream media isn't covering enough. 3 of America's largest formula manufacturers are facing what they're calling unprecedented challenges. That fancy corporate language? Let me translate it for you. They're struggling to keep up with demand, and it's about to get worse. But wait, it gets more interesting. That massive plant in Michigan, the one that was supposed to solve all our problems, they're operating at just 60% capacity. Why? New safety regulations have forced them to slow down production, and while safety is crucial, we all want the best for our babies, it's creating a perfect storm in the formula market. Now, let me share something I discovered while researching this. Specialty formulas, the ones for babies with allergies or sensitive tummies, they're becoming as rare as gold. Last week, I spoke with Sarah, a mom from Ohio, who had to try 7 different stores to find her baby's hypoallergenic formula. 7 stores! And she's not alone. The numbers are staggering. Store shelves are showing 15 to 20% less stock than normal online retailers have started limiting purchases to just 2 cans per order. And here's the kicker. Prices have skyrocketed by 27% since December. That's almost a third more coming out of parents' pockets. But don't panic. I've got your back. Here's what smart parents are doing right now, and you should too. First, sign up for stock alerts from multiple stores. Target, Walmart, and your local pharmacies. Create accounts now. Don't wait until you're down to your last can. Second, build a reasonable backup supply. I'm talking about a 1-month supply. Not hoarding, because we all need to look out for each other. And here's a pro tip. Join local Facebook parent groups. These groups are golden. They're like having hundreds of eyes on the ground, sharing real-time updates about where to find formula. Listen, I know this information might seem overwhelming, but knowledge is power. Start taking action today. Your baby's nutrition isn't something you want to leave to chance. And remember, we got through this before, we'll get through it again. Just be prepared, be smart, and most importantly, be considerate of other parents in the same boat. And here's a lesser-known tip I discovered. Many pediatricians keep formula samples in their offices. Give them a call. They might be able to help if you're in a pinch. They're often more than willing to help bridge the gap while you secure your regular supply. Before you go, let me give you 3 game-changing tips that could save you hundreds of dollars in the coming months. First, don't wait until these shortages hit the news. Start your smart shopping today. Download price tracking apps like Basket or Flip. They'll be your secret weapon for finding the best deals in your area. Here's a power move. Create a backup supply gradually. Buy just 1 extra item each shopping trip. This way, you're prepared without breaking the bank or emptying shelves for others. And listen, if you found this information valuable, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with friends and family. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell, because I'll be updating you weekly on inventory levels and new shortages. Remember, being prepared doesn't mean panicking. It means being smart, staying informed, and taking action at the right time. Trust me, your future self will thank you. Drop a comment below with which item surprised you the most. I read every comment and respond with extra tips. Stay savvy, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next video.